Hello to the YouTube. It is I, the King of Executioners, and the King of the Wheel. You have asked me, fair YouTube, to please show us a wheel build, Saint. We'd love to see the King of the Wheel. And so I present to you my brand new character, King Wheel.
No! It's a ruse! It's still me! I love slugs! And the moon! And arcane! Yes, friends! Let's get sluggy tonight! Ah! Yeah! Yes, friends, yes! The moonlight.
So the other day, I decided I would give myself the wheel. Saint Riot wheel, Saint Riot deal on this build. Saint Riot build, Saint Riot wield. And so I bumped my level up a little bit so that I could use the wheel. Gave myself 20 strength. And decided I wanted to stream snipe Pincognito during his sinister run as he plays through the game, building his new arcane build. Well, I ran into these troublemakers. Would you just look at them there? And I noticed that people were doing, significantly more damage since I had leveled up. But keep in mind, the level range matchmaking in Bloodborne is huge. So I'm probably invading way farther up. I don't have a little Blood Echoes calculator. But then I found the man himself, Tritone Chorus, a.k.a. Pincognito, a.k.a. the Cauliflower Man, gets verticality'd. And the fight is on. And an epic fight it was. I will let you enjoy this fight to its conclusion. I will let you watch and see what transpired. Now, this is what happens when two smart boys collide. One, a Cauliflower Man on his way to defeat the Orphan of Kos. The other, an invader, cosplaying as an old-school Bergenworth hunter come to do the damn thing at the fishing village, if you know what I mean. It's lore invasions. It's happening, and it's going right back on. So this was a great fight between me and Pinko. I'll just let you watch it. And in the meantime, we'll talk a little bit about the lore of Bloodborne, because I know how much you guys come to this PvP channel to talk about the lore. Let's actually talk about something. Spoiler alert, if you haven't beaten Bloodborne, or you haven't beaten the DLC, I would go ahead and skip past this fight. Alright, so the fishing hamlet is where the Bergenworth scholars came and discovered the body of Kos washed up on the shore, right? And all of the fishing hamlet villagers had been transformed in the presence of a great one. Now, what happened at the fishing hamlet was that Bergenworth did terrible things to these villagers, and they killed this Orphan of Kos. Now, keep in mind, when we see the Orphan of Kos in the nightmare, it's almost like a retelling of what happened, basically. This is the secret that the church, doesn't want uncovered. Now, it's Bergenworth. Blasphemous murderers, blood-crazed fiends, keep in mind, that's what the Baneful Chanter tells us, that did this. It was Willem and the boys. Lawrence was probably in on it. Ludwig, Lawrence, all of these key players were probably in on what happened at the fishing village. One could assume, although that's not necessarily, just outright stated. But what happens at the fishing village is the important part. They kill the Orphan of Kos, and when you see it in this recreation, this nightmare recreation, you see Kos give birth to the Orphan, which is what starts this whole death fetish with children that we see continue in Bloodborne throughout the entire series. It's not the series, I'm sorry, but the entire game. We see this death fetish dealing with children. The base game has us killing Marigo's wet nurse, which in turn leads to the death of Marigo. I know some people believe that you can hear Marigo cry if you play the music box. I've tried that. You can't. There's always those noises at the end of the fight. I cannot make it create any noise that doesn't actually normally happen. I even went and beat Marigo's wet nurse, played the music box, had a save state, and then went back, rebeat Marigo's wet nurse, didn't play the music box, and I got the exact same noises both times. But anyway, there's this fetish with children dying in this game, which is pretty dark. But think about the chalice ritual materials, the red jelly, the bastard of Lauren. It's a recurring theme in this game, and the orphan of Kos was the first. That's where all this horror started. It's absolutely mercy for the poor wizened child. It's a pretty gross little bit of lore there, but it's interesting. Super. Here we see this decapitated head, and it's hung obviously in the hunter pose, the same as the hunter rune, the hanging man. We see it right over the bonfire here, and it has, it's been decapitated, and we have the accursed brew, which, for all intents and purposes, maybe it's that guy's head, but we can use it as an arcane spell. So I'm using the wheel. I'm letting you guys check out this fight. I don't have very good gems on the wheel at this point, but we'll change all that. Now, obviously, the quick step R1 is like the bread and butter of the wheel. It's a great attack, but it has so much more to offer. The fully charged R2, the L1 transformation attack, where you get all this hyper armor and you lift the wheel above your head and you two-hand it and you smash it down. I love the wheel. I don't like the way I see it played a lot of times. I understand the desire to use the quick step R1. I fought the world's most passive dude with the wheel, and I just was I was using the wheel, he was using Chikage, and he was so passive. He literally did nothing but backstep all the time, unless he thought he could do an R2 or shoot me with his Evelyn. And so I swapped to the wheel, and I went straight to the quick step R1, and it's a great way to deal with people that want to play that way. So I understand why it gets used. It's just not something that I think is a lot of fun. But it has all these other moves that that most people, I think, don't ever look at. It's a really fun weapon, and we'll get to see more of it in action later in this long-ass video, which I hope you guys like. You guys mentioned that you liked the longer video format in my last Bloodborne video, so here we go, continuing with that. But back to the lore. The accursed brew states it's the skull of a local from the violated fishing village. Violated, of course, because of Bergenworth's come in here and done all kinds of terrible things. The inside of the skull was forcibly searched for eyes, as evidenced by innumerable scratches and indentations. So they opened up its head and they started looking for eyes inside of its brain. No wonder the skull became stewed in curses. They who offer baneful chants weep with them as one in trance. GG's to Pinko. Great fight between two arcane boys, and that'll wrap it up for our little lore invasion with the tomb prospector from Bergenworth come to do the business at the fishing hamlet. Now let's get back into that PvP, because I know that's why most of you come to see me, Saint RT. No, wait, Riot. So, as I mentioned, I'm not doing a lot of damage. I don't have a lot of really good gems, and I'm starting to take more damage. And this becomes a problem, obviously, for an invader like me. Remember, I was using the good enough gems when I was blood level 59, and I was doing just fine. Now I've gone up to 74. I gave myself 40 Vit and 20 Strength, and I've still got the 30 Arcane. That damage, I'm still doing decent damage, but against parties of 3, it's becoming very difficult. Here's some more of this beautiful wheel. But you can see there my opponent doing much more damage than we're used to. There's no telling anymore if I'm invading people who are in New Game or New Game Plus. Now, Upper Cathedral Ward is an end-game area, which it's nice to be able to invade here with a level 74. I get pretty active invasions, which is great. You can see I'm wearing the choir's headpiece for that sweet, sweet lore. Fortunately, if you're an arcane build, there's all kinds of, you can fit yourself into the world pretty much anywhere, which is a lot of fun. Now, the choir, of course, is in charge of what's known as the orphanage, where it appears they've taken Yharnam children, and continuing with the death fetish inherent in the theme of the game. they've turned them into these celestial emissaries. We see False Yosefka, who also is a choir member, doing this. Now, right outside, you'll see the make contact gesture, and interestingly enough, one of the things people discuss when discussing extraterrestrial life is communicating with them. Now, obviously, there's going to be a language barrier, but symbols work. And one of the things people say we should try and communicate to extraterrestrial life is an understanding of mathematics. And so this 90-degree angle, make contact, is a beautiful little homage to that real-world bit of trivia there. So my damage was underperforming. So what I did with the wheel was I went ahead and I stacked it full of my best physical gems. You can use also like Cold Abyssals and just stack it with arcane damage if you'd like. And I went and got some really good nourishing gems from the PWMF22GU. I went and got some really good gems from that chalice. Layer 2, the very beginning of the second layer, there's a gargoyle, and that gargoyle drops some very good, nourishing, cursed gems, so I went and grabbed those. But let's put this to the ultimate test here. Let us fight a completed Saw Spear build. Now, I've said this before in one of my other videos, the Saw Spear is essentially the straight sword of Bloodborne. It's probably the best weapon in the game. So, if we can compete, if we can stand up to this Saw Spear, if we can meet that challenge. Now, I'm not saying this is the best player ever or anything like that. All they do pretty much is R1 spam and try and shoot me when I need to heal, but that's a good tactic. It does a shit ton of damage. Their Saw Spear is obviously gemmed out, maybe not with the best gems, and maybe this player isn't the best. But remember, a good player with a great weapon will perform really, really well, and that's what we have here. So I need to be able to compete with this Saw Spear to sort of prove that my build can stand up against others. Again, no telling, I don't know exactly. There is a Blood Echoes calculator. I've seen people use it in Twitch chat, but I don't know where they're accessing it from, so I have no idea what level these people are that I'm fighting, but I assume most of them are higher level than I am. Now, one thing definitely worth noting about this fight is the fact that this hunter is solo, by themselves, which, as I said in a previous video, that doesn't happen. You don't run into solo hunters unless they've done something to make themselves get invaded. My assumption here is this person was trying to invade. Maybe they've defeated Ludwig, but they haven't defeated Lawrence, and as a result, they can still be invaded in this area. This character that I'm playing with actually operates in the exact same way. I can still be invaded because I haven't defeated Lawrence, even though I have defeated Ludwig. So I'm assuming this is a fellow invader here, and we get to have this nice little 1v1, which again is this is an awesome like measuring stick of my build. It allows me to see like, can my build compete with one of the more efficient and effective builds in Bloodborne? Now, what makes the Saw Spear and the Saw Cleaver so good is, one, their trick combos, where you R1 and then use the trick attack, or you dash forward and use the trick attack and you do all this extra damage, crazy with the transformation attack. But also the fact that they can mash R1 and get good results out of it. Whereas other weapons, like the straight swords, if you mash R1, the person takes one hit and then can dash backwards out, and you're just swinging your weapon for no reason. There you see what's called a trick combo, a transformation combo. They R1, L1, and if I'm not dashing back after that first R1, I'm going to eat all that damage. this hunter probably has a claw mark rune and is probably a skill build. Maybe not both, but definitely one or the other. And I think as a result, you see them going for parries a lot. Here they get me with the riposte and damn near kill me. A lot of damage. Not able to finish me off though. Now, they had made blood bullets, so I was counting their bullets to make sure I could attack freely. And once I saw that they had used those 5 blood bullets, I was free to attack without trying to get parried. Now, right there, they made more blood bullets, so again, we have to go back to counting their shots if we want to make sure we don't get parried. They fired 3 already. Now, of course, in the heat of battle, it is easy to have one of those Dirty Harry moments where you have to ask yourself, did they fire 4 shots or 5? And at this point in the fight, I wasn't sure if they were out or not. You can see me, I'm still not hyper aggressive, but I am a little more aggressive because I'm trying to decide, did they fire 4 shots or did they fire 5? Fortunately, they'll answer for me. Now, while I was content to make those trades, I was losing. However, the reason I wanted to continue was because my hyper armor, as you can see. My hyper armor kicks in, takes effect, and even if they do outdamage me on the single R1 trade, I can now swing faster than they can. They're stunned longer than I am, or my hyper armor will kick in and I'll just swing through. But we managed to beat the Saw Spear with a good set of gems in it, which immediately gives me some confidence, much needed confidence, and we've got very good, not great, but very good physical gems in the wheel. So how this is going to work on this build now is the Holy Moonlight Sword will be my weapon for taking care of groups, and I can switch to the wheel when it's time to do one-on-one. The wheel has a ton of hyper armor on a lot of its attacks, especially when two-handed. When two-handed, the wheel has a ton of hyper armor. There you see the transformation attack. I love that attack. It looks cool as hell. And if a person just jumps right into that attack, it's pretty much over. One of my favorite ways to get people to fall into that attack is to fully charge an R2. And when they try and jump into punish, hit the L1. If their weapon is slow enough, or if they've mistimed anything at all, what ends up happening is your hyper armor kicks in and they get smashed by the wheel. In transformed mode, the quick step R1, always a good choice. The L1 transform is great for staggering people who come in close, especially against something like the Blades of Mercy, like a really fast weapon. That L1 untrick, where you hold the wheel over your head and all the phantoms come out of it, that is great for dealing with people who are dashing into you over and over and over again. There you see the R1 into L1. He was able to hit me and interrupt. Out of ammo, so he takes a fully charged R2 Moonbeam. I will say this as a negative of the wheel. It has a strange sweet spot mechanic where you'll hit people a lot for like very underwhelming damage, and like you're not sure why. So you have to be wary of that. Just because you hit somebody doesn't mean you're going to do all your damage to them. Right there, rather than just healing, I decided to attack a few times and then heal, and I think that worked out and basically saved my ass in that one situation right there. It's so tempting to just try and run away and heal, but a lot of the weapons in Bloodborne are very good at chasing you down. And so as a result, you need to do some damage to maybe sort of get the people to back off so that you can heal. Now this whip is doing very good damage. The cooperator using the threaded cane, getting very good damage out of it. We managed to get rid of them. And the host doing very good damage with Ludwig's Holy Blade. They're not able to hyper armor through an Ultra Greatsword. I can't imagine why not. And there you see the running R1 or the quick step R1. Such a good chase down. Such a great way to pressure someone who's coming at you or backing away from you to try and heal. And then a couple of parries just finishes this fight right off. But swapping back and forth like you just saw from the Holy Moonlight Sword and then swapping to the wheel to punish the heal, these two things go together very well. You've seen me use the Tinnitrus before to do something similar. So it's very nice to have that with the wheel, because you can do just some crazy damage with that running R1 or that quick step R1 to punish the heal. Now, in case any of you guys don't play Bloodborne, this area right here that you're seeing, this is an active duelist location. This is where a lot of people duel. Now, in my experience, this is where like the less battle-tested players duel. Murgo's Loft seems to be where the big boys play. This area here is home to a lot of like gun spammers and what have you. Now, keep in mind, Bloodborne's invasion system is proximity-based, so the closer you are to the person, the more likely you are to invade them. So I will typically invade just past the little duelist zone, and I'll try and get the cooperators, the actual co-opers, the 2 and the 3v1s. Because again, that's more fun to me. This actually had me a bit confused. This person was killing the enemies past the duelist zone. Look at that, charged R2 into the L1. What a beautiful weapon this thing is. So I was a bit confused to see him out past the dueling zone by himself. However, this area does have a Sinister Bell Maiden ringing. If you haven't beat the boss, you are automatically subject to invasions, so it's not uncommon to run across solo hosts here. I thought maybe this guy was, a duelist. Obviously he's not. He was looking for the chime of a small resonant bell, and he found it. And I hope that cooperator enjoys looking at loading screens so that they can learn about the lore that I've brought to you today. I hope they enjoyed it as much as you enjoyed it on this PvP stream. Welcome, cooperator. Welcome. Please enjoy the beautiful loading screens of Bloodborne. There you see the stun. There you see the hyper armor. Hyper armor. It doesn't stop. It's non-stop. It's the wheel. Saint Riot wheel. Saint Riot deal. I believe the saying goes, "Get off my level, boy." But now we have to ask ourselves the hard questions. Are the gankers of Yar Hargul the co-opers, or the gankers of Yar Hargul? The Beastman, Tinnitrus Boy, and Cannon Guy. Who were the real gankers? Fully charged R2. Get off it, dude. Beast Cutter. It can cut the mustard. Beautiful parries. Absolutely beautiful. Totally meant to do those. He's 100% doing them on purpose. the follow-up R2 on every weapon is worth doing. Remember, in Bloodborne, every attack is a bait. Every attack has a follow-up. Fully charged R2s into R2s, R1s into L1s. Everything has a follow-up. Don't mash R1 like a dummy. You're better than that. Don't be scummy. Nice little stun lock there. If they had stuck with that, they might have had me. But instead, the Phantom backed off so he could shoot his blunderbust in gun he trusts. I've said it before. I'll say it again. You will run out of bullets. I, however, will not run out of sword. There is a quantifiable monkey see, monkey do aspect. If you shoot at someone in Bloodborne with the intent to parry their R1 spam or their heal, you in fact ensure that scrub players will also shoot their gun. Be wary of the parry, because Bloodborne is downright scary. Quick step R1. The fully charged R2 follow-up. They still haven't learned, so they keep getting burned. It's bad for them. It's bad for them to run into the 2014, 15, 16, and 17 Bloodborne PvP Southeast Regional Buffalo Wild Wings Division champion. And that is why. Now that we've got this guy solo, mono e mono, let's go ahead and break out the wheel. Now, he gets a little passive, but to his credit, he at least does stick around and fight. Running R1, such a great chase down. Remember what I said about quickstep R1 compared to running R1 in a previous video? Use those running R1s, baby boys and baby girls. Don't be afraid to switch it up. The quickstep R1, while it is the truth, it is not always necessarily the light and the way. Jump attack, get smashed. R1 follow-up, L1 follow-up. Tricked out. Hit him with that R1. Hit him with that jump attack. It just doesn't stop. I keep going. I'll put it like this. If you look at this player versus player action, and you see that I am using a giant wheel that is empowered by the spirits of terrible, horrible ghosts, and that doesn't give you a full-blown hot on, I can't relate to you. I don't want to know you, and you can't come to my barbecue. Very good R2 by my opponent there. But he keeps falling for the jump attack. See that 22 damage? Where did that come from? That's the sort of hitbox thing I'm talking about, with the sweet spot. Hyper armor on the Holy Blade, put him to bed, the bed that he made, by ringing the co-op bell. I'm Saint Riot. Later, y'all.